Darth Taba and Lord Scin were traveling to the unknown regions to unite the scattered Sith armies and destroy the Jedi. Darth Taba was at the controls of the ship as his friend was admiring the view. "You see, my friend. Darth Bruticus has no idea that the Sith exist in other parts of the galaxy. He is thinking like the Narrowminded Jedi, and that will be his downfall. He is a good man. Has a great mind and is an excellent warrior. But his greedy heart is going to kill him." Lord Scin heard a beeping sound coming from the space map HOLOSCREEN. I wonder what this is," he said, looking at the screen. "It's a signal from Darth Bruticus on Kamino. He probably got stranded and is wanting a slave to get him out. I'll contact the Republic and have them send out a few ships for his capture," Lord Scin said as he contacted the Republic Navy and gave them the information. "Thank you, sir," the Major said. "We have 5 cruisers and destroyers that just left Tatooine and was en route to Rishi, which is not far from Kamino. Again, thank you, sir, for the information," he said as the COMLINK channel shut off and Lord Scin strolled over to his seat and sat down, propping his feet up on the control panels as Darth Taba looked over at him. "I take it that you got your revenge, my friend?" he asked, watching his friend show an evil smile and growling. "Ha ha ha, you Sith Bantha Hutt lover. I'm going to eat. You want anything?" he asked as he started to gloat and bounce around as he waited for Darth Taba's answer. No. I'm fine, but you go ahead and I'll keep flying," he answered. "You'll keep flying. We're in hyperspace. You fool. You need to stop smoking that Bantha Poodoo stuff and wake up," Lord Scin said as he walked to the cafeteria. "What a complete worthless idiot. He has no idea what is about to happen," he spoke into a COMLINK. "I know, my friend. Be careful, he will be listening soon." "And did you contact MZ-12, the voice asked. Lord Scin entered the food preparation area and began to fix something to eat. "No. I contacted the Republic Navy and they are on their way to arrest you," he said as Darth Taba used the Force and could hear every word that Lord Scin was saying. "Gee, thanks for contacting the Republic to give us a free ride. When you get stranded, I'll make sure to call the Republic Navy for an intercept," Darth Bruticus said and ended the transmission. Lord Scin sat down and started to eat when Darth Taba ran into the room with his lightsaber drawn and sliced through the table in front of the Dark Lord, spilling the food into his lap and burning his legs. He stood up and yelled, "Great. Now that's the way I love to fight," Lord Scin yelled out as the angered Sith Lord hopped over the sliced table and fell over a group of chairs. "Well, you move around very well for a young Sith Lord that can't fight his way out of a wet paper bag," he said, egging him on and trying to clear the chairs out of the way. Darth Taba was at Lord Sin's feet with his lightsaber in hand and tried to swing at Sin's legs but missed as Lord Scin force jumped and force pushed him into the wall. Traping the Sith Lord and dropping his lightsaber. Lord Scin used the Force and collapsed the wall, wrapping it around the young Sith Lord like a blanket and dropping him on the floor. "Now I have you," Lord Scin said as the ship suddenly jolted. Well, look what we have here. A ship cruising in the middle of nowhere. And look, who the captain is, our long-lost Sith Lord Darth Taba," Darth Bruticus said as he went to see where they were going. "How did you get the ship out of hyperspace? How did you escape the grasp of the Republic?" Taba asked. Darth Lucratis sat down in front of the captured Sith and spoke. "So many questions. Young one. Calm down and let your mind rest. There will be plenty of time later to answer all of your questions. Lord Taba. By then everything will be made clear to you." Darth Lucratis got up as a squad of Republic troops entered the ship and grabbed the wrapped-up Sith Lord and took him away. "Remember, keep him under close guard, Commander," Darth Lucratis said as the troops took the Sith Lord away to the Republic cruiser and placed him in a force-proof cell. Darth Taba was taken to Coruscant where he was imprisoned in a undisclosed location and questioned by the Jedi. He couldn't believe that those Sith traitors actually turned him into the Republic. He would get out and then they all would be dead. A Jedi Grand Master entered the room bringing him some food and sat down at the table in front of him. At least the worthless Force users fed their prisoners. And fed them well. So, is there anything that you would like to tell me? Anything at all? The Jedi asked. Darth Taba did nothing but stare at the wall and ignore the Jedi. He sat up. Looked at the Jedi in the eyes and Force spoke. You will unlock these bonds. Give me your lightsaber and let me go. The Jedi stood up and walked to the door, opening it, and walked behind the Dark Lord. And fumbled with the lock on his bonds. You'll have to do better than that. Sith, he said, and left the room. Enjoy your meal, he said, shutting the door and walking away. The Dark Master inspected the food carefully before eating it but didn't touch the drink. It was poisoned as usual. You Jedi think that I was born yesterday or the day before yesterday, but soon I'll be out of here. And you all will be dead. I promise that, he said, eating the food. Grand Jedi Gival. Buroc and Smith arrived at the Republic Navy prison on Coruscant and prepared to question the captured Sith Lord. I've never spoke to a Sith. Hell before you all showed up. I never heard the Sith even fought in a war, Master Smith said as the other two Jedi smiled and nodded in agreement to the younger Grand Master. Stay here, John, and we will question him, Gival said, entering the room as Seiko Buroc patted the Master on the back. Go and see the sights. We'll find you when we're done, he said, and he entered the room behind the new Chancellor. The young Grand Jedi shrugged his shoulders as two soldiers arrived and guarded the door. The young Master left the troops to their job and started walking around looking at the newly redecorated prison. It had been repainted in red instead of blue and looked terrible. Whatever covered it had no idea on how to do its job. Walking by a janitor, he said, "Geez, this looks like crap. Whoever did this should be shot." The janitor stopped walking and turned to the Jedi Grand Master. Master Jedi, do I complain to you about your work? He asked as Master Smith looked over at the man and said. You couldn't do my work, and if you did I hope it would look better than your paint job. Hell, it looks like you were smoking something. Were you trained at your job at gunpoint? He asked as he turned his back and started to walk away. The janitor got mad and pulled a blaster from his holster as Master Smith strolled slowly away, gazing at the newly hung tapestries and banners. He stopped in his tracks as the janitor got closer and closer to his target. Master Smith saw a small group of children nearby and waved to them as the man raised the blaster to the back of his target's head. The Jedi grabbed his saber, turned it on and spun around behind him, cutting off the janitor's arm, dropping it and the man to the floor. The Jedi stood over the janitor with his lightsaber still turned on as the man slowly crawled away. So, why would a janitor be carrying a blaster? Why would a man like you be trying to kill a Jedi? He asked, turning off the weapon and clipping it to his belt. He leaned over and picked the man up off of the floor as 3 troops ran over to his location and escorted the man to the infirmary, along with his severed arm. Okay, we fed you, clothed you, and let you clean yourself up, the new Chancellor Gival said as a trooper entered the room and said. I'm very sorry to bother you, Masters. But Master Smith has been attacked and is severely wounded. They need you in the infirmary as soon as possible. Seiko Buroc rose from his seat and walked through the door, slowly looking to his left and right at the guards. Using the Force, he got into their minds and read everything. Nothing was out of place except the guards. The 2 of them were to only have pikes, not lightsabers. The Grand Jedi turned to the guards. I didn't know that the Chancellor's guards carried lightsabers. Where did they come from? He asked as the guards turned them on and engaged the Jedi. The guard inside turned 2 green lightsabers on and attacked the Chancellor, swinging down as Gival hopped out of the chair just as the guard cut through it and the table. He parted the table and cut through the cord that connected to a Force crown that was around the head of Darth Taba, keeping him from using the Force. He jumped from his seat and Force pushed the door into Seiko Buroc, knocking him out and using Force lightning. He fried the 2 guards in their tracks as Master Smith ran to his friend's aid. Turning his lightsaber on, the Jedi Force ran across the building. The Sith Lord's attack got stronger and stronger as the lightning was starting to streak away from his targets and into other innocent people that were standing around watching the Sith escape. The lightning was getting brighter and brighter as the Sith maintained his attack at the two targets. People started turning their heads away due to the extreme bright light. His escape was complete. The Jedi got closer and closer as Darth Taba started talking to himself. "Come on, Jedi. Come closer, come on," he said as the Jedi got within range of his attack. The Sith Force pushed the bodies toward Master Smith and let them go of the lightning and running away as the guards' electrical bodies exploded in the Jedi's face and showered him and Seiko Buroc with bits and pieces of burnt body parts. When Master Smith woke up and opened his eyes, the Sith Lord Darth Taba was standing over him holding his lightsaber in his hand looking over the hilt. A Jedi lightsaber. These are much weaker than our handmade blades. I'll keep it for now. When I see you again, you'll be ready and we will meet. Oh yes, we will meet again," he said, leaning over and punching the Grand Master in the face and knocking him out. He looked into the room and saw the guard fighting with the Chancellor. As the Dark Lord was leaving, he saw a changeling walking by. The Dark Lord waved his hand in front of his face, said a few words to him, giving him a black silk bag, and sent him on his way. Meanwhile, Delpagival was engaged in battle with the guard. Already the Chancellor had cut off all of his clothes and the man had slash marks all over his body. His long hair was gone and he was hopping around in his underwear. Stepping on broken glass, he fought his way to the exit. Catching a glimpse of the outside, he stopped and smiled as Gival sensed a strong disturbance in the Force and stepped back a little as his foe. "My lord has been captured once again and my services are no longer needed," he said as Delpagival slowly moved forward. The man walked outside with his lightsaber as the Republic troops and Jedi surrounded him. He knelt down and raised the lightsaber with both hands above his head. "May the Force serve you well, my Sith brothers and sisters," he said, bringing the saber down and stabbing himself through the chest, burning his entire upper torso. The man fell over on the floor. The lightsaber shut off and the smell of burnt flesh filled the air as the troops and Jedi did nothing but stare. Darth Bruticus brought the ship out of hyperspace and was approaching an unknown planet. His hologram projector started beeping. He pushed a button and a hologram appeared. "Master, I have found the Sith Lord Who is behind the betrayal and he is a council master," he said as the Supreme Master tossed the projector down on the table in front of Darth Lucratis and said, "Your star pupil is a complete idiot. Who is repeating the exact thing that you told him when you briefed him on this mission. He isn't my star pupil. Mine is away on a mission. This is someone Who is wasting our time," Darth Lucratis said as he sat back and looked at the hologram of the unknown Sith and squeezed his fingers together. Choking the Sith to death and seeing the Holosith fall out of the picture. Lucratis shut the projector off and sat back in his chair as the device started beeping once again. Darth Lucratis looked up at the Supreme Master and said, "You wanna take this one? Or should I?" he asked as Lord Scin picked the device up in his hand and activated the projector. A hologram appeared and spoke. "Darth Taba is dead, my lord, and Seiko Buroc is as well. I'm closer to my objective and will update you soon when it is done," he said as the hologram faded. Lord Scin set the device down on the table and walked away while Darth Bruticus sat down next to Darth Lucratis. "Something is wrong with him and I'm going to find out what it is," he said, grabbing his friend's plate and started eating the fried bantha meat on a stick. "Hey, that's mine," Darth Lucratis said as Darth Bruticus got up and walked away with the plate of food. "Thanks for the snack, my friend. Now make yourself some," he said, laughing as he walked away. Darth Lucratis walked to the cockpit and sat with the pilots and Lord Scin. "He was your friend, wasn't he?" Lucratis asked as he looked over at his friend. The Sith Lord started laughing and shook his head at Darth Lucratis. "He's not dead. I don't care what that Sith said. If he was dead, I'd know it. I'd have that funny feeling in my stomach and I would get dizzy. I had none of those symptoms. Darth Taba was right about Darth Bruticus. His greed is getting the best of him and it is blinding his mind with things that he will never have. Here we are arriving at this planet looking for the great armies of the Sith. He will not succeed, Lord Scin said. Sleeping on his back. Darth Mazarill rolled off of the steel slab and onto the floor. It was still raining on Coruscant as the Sith Lord opened his eyes slowly and rolled to his side. Examining the wound in his chest. He couldn't explain why he was still alive. Seiko Buroc his saber from him and ran it through his heart. But he was still alive. Still breathing. How was this possible? Darth Mazarill said. He had no idea WHO, but he would find out, if he lives. Well. The great Darth Mazarill. I have need of you. But first you need to heal. The hooded figure picked up the fallen Sith from the floor and took him back to the infirmary as he closed his eyes and fell back to sleep. I have no idea how you got here outside of the room, but I have an idea WHO the culprit is, and I will take care of it as you rest, he said as he carried the Sith Master through the abandoned Jedi temple and returned to the infirmary. Darth Mazarill had no idea WHO was helping him and right now he didn't care. He slowly opened his eyes and saw a middle-aged man with long gray hair using magic and chanting from a book. As time ticked away, Darth Mazarill fell in and out of conscience. Once he looked at his chest and saw green smoke rising from the Carterized cavity and passed out again. Another time he thought he saw ghosts of ancient Sith standing around the slab that he lay on with their arms out and chanting along with the Dark Master. WHO ran a red stick under his nose and the young Sith passed out again. The battle between he and Seiko Buroc ran through his mind over and over. He had the advantage. He had everything on his side: hate, force, the dark side. And yet he still failed. Days came and gone as the young Sith Master lay on that slab. He was dreaming and awoke. Opening his eyes he looked around the room and saw a table with ancient surgery equipment covered in dried blood. He looked down and saw rotten pieces of Carterized flesh in a trash container. It was the smell that woke him up. The young Master sat up slowly. Using the force he set the trash on fire and force pushed the can outside of the room as he slowly got up from the slab. Grabbed a cane that was leaning against a wall nearby and left the room. It was dark and cold. He could hear the raindrops hitting the broken glass rooftops and the great hall floors from his bomb attacks. Mazarill walked down the stairs and over to the entrance doors watching the rain fall. He liked the rainy season on Coruscant. The dark clouds racing across the sky. The thunder rumbling. It soothed him and calmed his nerves. He stared out of the windows watching the rain run down them for what seemed to be an eternity and watching the Republic soldiers flee to their shelters from the rain. Are you ready to begin your new life? A voice said from behind him as the young Master turned around and saw the hooded figure. WHO pulled his hood down and revealed his older face. Darth Mazarill opened his mouth to speak but could only say one word. Why? He asked. The man said. Because Darth Bruticus sent you here to your death and you fought against a Jedi Grand Master. WHO also thinks that you are dead. I'm going to kill the both of them. But I need your help. The young Master sat down on the floor. Leaning against the glass door and feeling the cold against his head. WHO are you? He asked as his head slid down the window. The Sith crouched down and said. My name is Ion Vat. Grand Master and Alchemist of the Sith. I've been watching and waiting. What Darth Bruticus is doing has great intentions. But I see that he will get shot down in flames. Darth Mazarill looked up at the Dark Lord and said. You don't look like a Sith, you look like a Jedi. The man starting laughing. Looks are deceiving. Young one. They are very deceiving. The young Master got up slowly and looked around at all of the damage that he created. Will the Jedi rebuild this? Mazarill asked as the Sith Lord helped him walk along. Most likely. This is Coruscant. The Sith, like the Jedi, will rise and fade. It has been so for millions of years and will continue for millions more. The Senate will take pity on the Jedi. Rebuild this temple and help them search the galaxy for younglings, and thus starting the circle once again. The two went and gathered what items they had and left the temple. They crossed the failed force field and boarded a ship a small distance away. Darth Mazaril sat down while the ship took off. Ion Vat covered the young master with a blanket and sat down across from him. Darth Mazaril lay down on the couch and started to go to sleep. "You look like someone that I read about once," he said as he made himself comfy. "So who do I look like?" the Sith magician asked while the young Sith tossed and turned. Finally he got comfortable and closed his eyes. "You look like Qui-Gon Jinn," he said. Ion Vat looked at him and asked, "Who's he?" Darth Mazaril shifted himself around and said, "He was a Jedi Master who was killed by a Sith apprentice," he said, and drifted off to sleep. Darth Noraa was sitting at his desk watching the traitor on Aholoscreen. "There you are, and now you are mine," he said, getting up from his chair. Grabbing his lightsaber and leaving the room. The two of them were the only ones in the temple. Everyone else was transferred to the temples on Coruscant and BYSS. As he walked through the Great Hall, he spotted Darth Kamenwho, in turn saw him and walked over to meet him. "Greetings Lord Kamenwho. What are you doing here?" Darth Noraa asked as the Dark Lord stood on the other side of the hall. "You know why I am here, so it's you." The traitor, Kamenwho, said as Darth Noraa looked at the Dark Lord in wonder. "I am not the traitor. I've been doing research and the traitor isn't me, it's you," he said as he ran over to the Sith Lord's position. Front flipped over the stairs. Turned his saber on and attacked the Sith with an overhead slash. As he landed on the floor, Darth Kamenwho blocked his attack with his saber and force-pushed the younger Sith across the hall against the railing and slowly walked over to Darth Noraa. "I'm going to enjoy breaking you down to nothing," Kamenwho said while his foe was getting up. Darth Noraa lunged forward using the Force and flashed through the Sith Lord, cutting him in half. "You're going to break Who?" he asked as he watched the Carterized halves separate and fall to the floor. He stood over what was left of Darth Kamenwho and started gloating. "So you thought that you would come here and kill me, you worthless excuse of a Sith Lord," he said as a hooded figure approached behind him. Turned on his saber and said, "I'm tired of hearing your mouth, Lord Noraa." The Sith Lord froze still and didn't move as the voice spoke again. "This is it, my friend. You are history and all because I serve and obey Darth Bane and his rule of two," the voice said. Darth Noraa didn't turn around as the figure explained his evil plot. "I don't think it would be a good idea for you to follow him. Just like Bruticus bringing Darth Sidious here to our time," he said, shutting off his lightsaber and kneeling on the floor with his head down. "I have done all that I can. There is nothing that the Sith can offer for me. Take my head." The figure stood behind him and Darth Noraa felt his presence. He quickly got up, turned around and hit the figure with Force lightning, knocking him across the Great Hall. "I lied. That's my job as a Sith Lord. To lie, cheat, steal, kill and destroy," he yelled at the figure as he ran over to him. Turned his lightsaber on and attacked the man. Who quickly got up and activated his saber, which turned the blade green. "I lied too, my friend. I'm not uniting with Darth Bane or Darth Bruticus, but I will tell you something of truth. Before I destroy you, Darth Bruticus and Darth Lucratis turned you and Darth Kamenwho against each other so that they could knock the Sith pack down to two," he said as he engaged the Sith Lord with a green and red saber. "Come on, Senator. Let's see the training that you've been giving the Sith for the last few years," the hooded figure said as he burned through all of his moves in a few minutes and quickly tired out the Sith trainer, and as Darth Noraa slashed at the unknown man's face. He still didn't back down or show any sign that he was tired. Even though he was exhausted and ready to quit. But he couldn't quit. This was a fight for his life and he wasn't giving it away very easily. The figure swung both sabers over his foe's head rapidly as Darth Noraa tried desperately to block, and then the figure started slowing down his fight and Noraa found the advantage and took it. He waited for the dual attack to stop, and when it did, Lord Noraa cut off the arm that held the red-bladed saber. "Aahhhhhhh," he heard the figure yell as he backed off to cover the wound. "Now we are even, whoever you are," he said as the figure stood up and pulled off his hood. "Wow. Now this is a surprise. Never in a million years would I have thought that you of all people would be fighting against me. So Darth Bruticus has turned us against each other. So what do I do now, I wonder?" he asked the man who stood before him with a green saber in his hand. "Now the plot thickens. The skies are getting darker," Darth Noraa said as his foe attacked him, which was easier than before. And one less lightsaber added to the battle. The man fought for his life as Lord Noraa now had the advantage, and as he swung the saber slowly outwardly across his foe's chest, Darth Noraa ducked and the Sith's attack missed. The Sith Lord stood up and cut off his other arm. Then took off his head to rid him of his own misery. The limp body fell to the floor. Darth Noraa sensed no one else in the temple and he left the building. As he walked outside the building, he whispered to himself, "Goodbye Darth Lazar, goodbye," he said as a Republic ship flew over the temple and dropped a bomb on top of the Sith Lord who could do nothing but stand still. The bomb hit next to Darth Noraa and vaporizing the Sith to nothing but dust. Chancellor Gival exited the interrogation room and ran to his friend's aid, pulling the burnt pieces off of the fallen Jedi. He called for medics to assist the fallen Jedi Grand Masters to the infirmary. After they were taken away, Gival ordered an immediate investigation of the escaped Sith Lord and anyone who was present during the ordeal. "Damn. If it isn't one thing, it's something else," the Chancellor said as he returned to his apartment to rest. He entered the establishment and walked to his office and sat down at his desk. It was early in the morning as he opened the shades and turned the lights on. A message was burned in the office wall. He stood up at once and called the Chancellor's guards in immediately. The guards entered the apartment and began investigating the break-in. All over the office, General Tanash took notes and scanned the burnt message on the wall. He read it aloud. "The heads of the Sith Council have been broken. 6 are dead. 4 remain. Your new Grand Master is next," he said as he walked to the entrance and spoke to the Chancellor. "We will find the person who did this. In the meantime, we will double the troops in this building, sir," he said, leaving the apartment. "Thank you, General," Delpagival said, entering his apartment and went to sleep in his room, to be continued on. Star Wars Infinite Darkness. V. Cloud of Shadows. Coming winter 2019. Star Wars. A New Age sample chapter. The Dark Sith Wars. Industrial Sector. Coruscant, 12:30 a.m. A hooded man was climbing up the front of an old factory building in the middle of the rain season. At the top, a hidden landing pad with a new Sith stealth fighter. Armed guards surrounded the hangar as the figure entered undetected. He force ran under the cockpit of the ship and waited. Queen Octa met with her Sith forces, who presented her with the stealth fighter. The cockpit opened, she got in and blasted off. Flying above the war on Coruscant, the Queen began scanning the battles around the planet. She sensed another person and smiled. "I know you're here," she said, turning her head behind and focusing on the figure who lowered the hood and sat in the seat next to the Queen. "Hello Ashley. It's been a long time." The Queen turned and looked at him, shaking her head. "That name no longer has any meaning for me, William. You are my wife Ashley and I still love you very much. No matter who you are now or what you represent, you will always be my wife, my life, my heart and soul. We have 3 children together, Ashley, or did you kill them too when we were all in transportation to this galaxy?" She stopped the ship and shook her head. "I didn't kill them, William. Most of the cryos are still out there unfound. God knows why the Jedi shot us all out into outer space like that. Probably to save their own ass from the pursuing Sith. There are planets and moons that both the Jedi and Sith are looking for, and it would kill me to find out that they are hurt or dead." William smiled and shook his head. "You wouldn't be hurt if anything happened to the kids," he said, waving his hand at the turmoil below. "Look at the shit down there, Ashley, it's madness. You're the Queen of Korriban. Queen Octa. Queen of the Sith. Mistress of the Empire. Darth Arconta. Shit, Ashley, you're wanted by everyone in the galaxy." He looked in her eyes and saw that she didn't care about anything he just said. He, on the other hand, couldn't hold back his tears. He leaned in, closed his eyes and gave his wife a long kiss. She didn't embrace him, instead just went through the motion. She was a true leader of the Sith, one who didn't care for the welfare of any husband but herself, and she was done with this conversation. William grabbed her by the shoulders, got in her face and whispered, "All I wanna know is, are you behind this war? Did you start it?" Ashley opened the cockpit, nodded slowly and spoke. "Yes, I am, and yes, I did start the war. I don't need you anymore, William. I have the King of Korriban, who has a lot more than you ever will. He is my husband, my life, my heart and soul." William's mouth dropped open in shock. The Sith Queen pushed the man out of the ship into the rain over the Jedi base camp and started to fly away. Everyone below could hear him scream, as well as the Queen, when he fell. "Aassshhllelleeyy." He hit the ground with a loud thud and didn't move. A steel rusty pipe pierced through his left shoulder and held him to the ground. Rain pelting his face as a Jedi ran over to him. Lightsaber in hand, the Jedi ignited the weapon and burned through the pipe, while other Jedi and medics came to his aid and pulled him off of the pipe. A Jedi stood over him as the medics tended to his wound. He reached out and grabbed an apprentice. Pulling her to him, he said a few words to her as the Jedi moved in to listen. "The Queen of the Sith is my wife." He let go of her, fell to the ground and passed out. The Jedi stood before him in wonder. "Take him to the infirmary at the temple and inform the council that we have some information that will help with the war." Jedi Temple Infirmary. Coruscant. 6 p.m.